All right, the spiral staircase continues. These are all the eventual steps. I had to plane them down from 1.5 to 1.25 inches, so that when they're all assembled, there should be 12 steps and then 1 step up to the upper floor, and everything should be within the 8 3/4 inch rise. And these will be cut for each step and then glued and screwed in place. And what I'm doing right now is I am drilling the center hole out of each of these center posts. And this is critical because these are going to be placed over a single iron pipe that runs up through the center, and the holes have to be level so that the steps are level. And what I'm doing is I've marked the center, and my drill has, I don't know if you can see, but it has a little level device built into it, so I try to keep the ball in the middle as I'm drilling. And then once I drill completely through, then I use this bit to drill out the hole for the metal pipe. And it's 1.25 inches, and the pipe is about 1.125 inches, so it gives enough play because nothing is going to be exact with this kind of construction. So once each step is mounted on the pipe, then I can position it, mark where it's going to go exactly, because some of the steps have to be moved slightly differently, and I have to figure out where the first step is going to go, because of the hole in the ceiling. It goes up to the second floor. It's a square hole. It's not a big, large, round hole, so I have to plan the steps so that your head doesn't hit the floor as the stairs curve around, and so it's very tricky, a lot of measuring and planning. But that's what I'm doing so far. I did buy this auger bit, but these things are, oh my god, if it grabs, it'll stop your drill and break your wrist. So I decided not to use that. Okay, I gotta get back to work. Okay, we're upstairs here, and that's the piece that I built. And then this piece here is going to be attached to it underneath. And then this is the final step. And then the railings will come up from the end. I'll have a rail coming up to the ceiling, and then railings around the outside edge. And then at the end of each step, starting here on the floor area, there'll be another natural railing that will go up to the ceiling, and then each step there'll be one going up, and then I will steam bend a handrail that'll be attached to those, so the stairs will be very stable when I'm finished. All right, now it's time to get to work on this rainy, drizzly day. All right, I am working on the final staircase. These are cantilever. Okay, let's try this again. My battery ran out yesterday. Okay, so I've got the first step attached, and how I am doing it is I have paper templates that correspond to the size of all these steps, and they're all numbered, and I'm alternating a larger, wider step with a smaller one and a larger one, and I've figured out exactly how many steps and where the placement is. And then I attach the template, and then I'll mark where the screw holes need to go. And what I'm using to attach the steps are these long lag screws. They're a 1/2-inch diameter shaft. So I have 2-foot-long drill bits. One is a 1/2 inch, so that I drill in the depth of the shaft before the threads start, and I've got a stop gauge attached so I know how far to drill in. And then I use the 3/8 inch bit for the rest of the hole, and that also has a stop gap attachment. And then I built this 90-degree angled jig that I will attach with a clamp above the step. And there's 2 pencil lines on here. This is where the step goes, the log part, the base, and then the final tread, which is going to be similar to the treads on the spiral staircase over there. And I'll put those on after. And so between here and then the next step up, it's a rise of, I think it's 8 1/4 inches. And so now I need to work on the next one and work my way up, and then this will be the last of the staircases. Yay! Okay, get to work. Alright, this is the latest on the final staircase. These are the stairs, these cantilevered stairs that are going up the side of the wall, up to the platform on top of the walk-in closet. It's going to have a little chair and just a little viewing area. I like to call it the Stairway to Heaven. I hope that's not a copyright infringement. But anyway, what I am doing is I have this bracket. I've got the lines marked out on this maple piece, and then I clamp the bracket in place. What I'm doing is alternating wide stairs, a little narrow, a little wider. The wide ones tend to align with the 2x4 studs, so they have to be wide enough so that I can drill the holes on either side of the studs. And then I'm using the paper templates, and these I drew on the end of the steps. And then I line it up where it needs to go. I pencil mark and then drill a hole through. I use a drill, a smaller diameter drill bit first. That way, if I hit a screw somewhere, I can change it without having a huge hole. And if everything goes good, then I'll take the larger drill bit and then I'll drill a hole through on this side, and then I will line up the base piece. And I've been putting braces underneath, and then I have this strapping material here, and I'll run a strap from the top down so I get it in position. I put glue all around before I attach it, and then screw it down. And then I'll go on the other side with the same drill bit and drill back through into the piece itself, and then up to the depth of the stop that I have attached to the bit. And then I'll take the other drill bit, which is a smaller diameter, and run that through, and that goes farther into the log piece. And then put some grease on the lag bolts and turn them in place, and then move on to the next one. And I put this can on the end of this clamp so I won't poke myself in the head. All right. Once all of these pieces are attached, then I'll go back and make the tread tops, just like that are on the spiral staircase over there, and then attach those. All right, I need to get to work. All right, I have got one more step installed, 2 more to go, and I just wanted to show how I've been using milk crates to rest the steps on. Of course, they've been attached with this bracket, but it just holds the weight of the piece. And then I've been drilling the holes and putting in the 10-inch long lag screws. But yeah, the milk crates are a good tool. Every handyman's milk crates and duct tape work for everything. All right, 2 more to go, and Stairway to Heaven is almost done. Then I've got to put the treads on the top. Beautiful fall day. I am outside working on the treads for that final staircase, Stairway to Heaven. And I'm working out under my little tent that I set up earlier in the summer, specifically for working on the stairs. There's so much cutting with sawdust and shavings and planing and cutting, and so I wanted to do it outside. And there are 9 stairs. These treads, I have 2 sizes. Some are cut out of 2x10s and some are cut out of 2x12s. And of course, they're finished lumber, so it's not actually 10 inches wide. It's more like 9.5 and 11.5. But I'm just grinding, smoothing the edges, sanding everything. And I have 2 different size treads because the log stair pieces vary in width. Some are wider than others, and I put the stairs together sort of alternating. So I've got a narrow step, wide step, narrow step. And I wanted the treads to be wide enough to come over the edge of the log supports underneath. Okay, so this is what I'm doing, and then I will be attaching them, and that staircase should be done except for the railings and the finish. Back to work. Alrighty, I have the first tread attached to Stairway to Heaven. Like I said before, I'm alternating the treads. One is wide, one's a little narrower, one's wider, narrower. And what I'm doing is I'm lining them up, making a couple little pencil marks so I know where they go once I remove it. And then I clamp it and I drill. I've got all of my drills. I have like 4 drills and they all have different bits. This one, it's got the drill stop attached, so I know the depth has to go down. And I drill it down through the tread first, after I've pencil mark where I want all the holes to go. And then I've got a countersink bit set up, and another drill stop. And then I've pre-drilled holes back here that go through the wall. And I think I've shown this before, but I have these lag screws, lag bolts that I'm putting through into the tread itself. And once I get everything drilled, I'll take the clamp off, remove the step, run some glue, a heavy-duty adhesive, and then put it all back, line up the pencil marks, and screw everything down in place. And then after, I'll take the dowels, tap it into the hole, and then cut it off, sand it down, and then use some filler like I did on the other spiral staircase over there, and then do a final sanding. So that's the first one, just a few more, and then these stairs, other than the railings, will be done, and I can move on to more plumbing and electrical work. Okay, I will see you later. Okay, I'm going to probably run out of battery here, but this is what I've been working on for the last week. I've been installing the batten strips on this front section on the clerestory windows. I had painted everything with a primer, but over the years it kind of wears off, and I haven't put the final coat and all the batten strips and sealing and everything. So this is what I've been trying to do before winter. I have to climb up here with my little dog run that I've got attached to the wall, and I have my safety belt, and I have to bring everything up, brush and bucket and tool at a time. And when I put the batten strips on, I put a strip of extra sticky masking tape over the crack, and then I nail the strips on, and then seal around everything, and then paint it. So that is what I have been doing here on the roof. And I've got to get back to it before my battery runs out. Well, I've got the under the stairs bookcase pretty much finished, except for the sheetrocking trim. But that's how it's going to look. And all these wooden crates are individually stacked, so it gives the cubby bookcase look. I also added this extra cherry trim piece because it was, with the sheetrock going directly up and meeting the maple, which is going to be natural, we needed some kind of piece of contrast that ties in the rest of the cherry in the stairs, and so I think that looks better. All right, that's it. Back to work. And I thought I'd do a little recording today. I haven't recorded much lately because what I've been doing primarily is just wiring. Wiring this whole place is very time consuming, and so I don't need to film wiring every single room. But what I'm doing right now is building a cabinet in the downstairs bathroom where the sink, which is upside down there, will sit on top of. I drew up some plans on a piece of scrap paper here. So that's what I'm doing. The top of the cabinet is going to have tiles. I salvaged some old salmon rose-colored, the color shows up here, ceramic tiles, and they're going to go on the top of the cabinet. And they match the old toilet and sink color almost exact. So it's a nice perfect match. And the cabinet is going to be designed similar to the kitchen cabinets. They will have a tile inlay, and then there's a wood edging on the outside. These are wider, the kitchen cabinets are wider, and I hear my phone ringing, so I should probably go answer it. All right, it is actually July 4th, 2022. A little more progress on the bathroom cabinet. I'm building both cabinets, the downstairs bathroom and the upstairs, the same dimensions. I think I showed before, but these are, I sort of do drawings as I go. And this cabinet here, the top piece, I leveled off, I tied it in place, and then I screwed it to the wall. And then the bottom part I built separately, and I just slid it underneath, and I attached these two rails on either side from behind before I slid it in, and then I'll screw the other end in place and then screw down through the top. And then the door, I changed the design of the door. I decided I'm going to use the door that I took off this unit here. I had to cut and modify it to fit around the toilet area, and I'm going to use the same door so it ties everything together on the front of the cabinet. All right, I got to get this screwed in place, and then I got to start cutting out the top, and then the trim pieces around the edge, which will be made with 2x4s, and then it'll all be ready for tiling and installing the sink. All right, back to work. All right, the latest on the upstairs bathroom cabinet. I got the frame of the cabinet all put together. The base is already attached to the floor, and I haven't attached the rest of it to the base yet. That'll be the last thing I do. And then the top, these are some of the drawings that I doodle. Hey kitty, what are you doing? Looking for mice? Hey Zoe, good girl. Yes you are. So I measured and cut out the top that's going on the cabinet. And whoa, you're awful talkative today. And how I did that is I took some measurements on the bottom of the sink to know how to cut the hole out. And I did 1/2, and then I transferred those dimensions over to some paper, and I folded it in half and drew the other side so it's even on both sides, and then drew it out on the strand board and cut the piece out. These two notches in the back are where the sink, these pieces here, fit into, and then there'll be a hole drilled through to attach a bolt to the wall. And let me put this down for a second and I'll put the sink on and you can see what it looks like. And that's what it's going to look like with the sink attached. Now on top of this strand board there'll be a waterproof membrane and then cement board and then the tiles, and then around the outside edge I am cutting out wood edging, so it's going to go all the way around the edge and it'll be even with the thickness of the cement board and the tiles, and then the sink will actually set on top of the tiles. So, and then I had to do real precise measuring because the toilet's going in right next to it. So the top of the toilet tank is coming right to the edge here, or to the edge of where the overhang of the wooden edging is going. And then underneath this overhang, I'm going to put a couple of shelves in after. All right, I've got to get back to work. Okay, I've got this upstairs sink cabinet pretty much, well, close to being done. I've got all the wood trim around the edge, all mitered, cut, and attached. Everything is glued, screwed, and nailed in place. I just have to go back and fill in with some wood filler and then do sanding. And of course the inset, like I said before, there's going to be a waterproof membrane on top of strand board, and then cement board, and then the tile. And I do have a lot of different tile I've salvaged, but I don't have a green that would coordinate with the color of the sink and the toilet. So I may take a look at if I can find something that matches, because it won't take much to do. And then of course I want to put tile on the back splash, so I may just buy some. All right, now I got to go down and finish the downstairs cabinet. I wanted to quickly just show what I've been doing here with this staircase that goes up to the little loft area. I'm finishing up putting the treads on the last few steps, and the way I'm attaching them with screws and then drilling countersinking holes and putting dowels in. And of course the dowels are glued and then tapped in place, and they're a little longer than or higher than the holes. And I was going to use this cutting tool to trim them off and then sand them down, fill it in, with wood putty, and then sand it down smooth. But the blade on this was gouging into the wood. So I came up with a little device. I don't know if I invented this or if it exists, but I just don't know about it. I took a piece of metal, drilled a hole in it, and then I hold it over it, and then I can use the saw without damaging the wood. And that's it. Okay, I've got to get back to work. All right, I got a quick record session here. What I've been doing lately is wiring, of course, but I am doing some insulation above the stone wall, and I have to cut some holes for vents before I finish the insulation. There's a hole up there. That's a 5-inch hole, and that's going to be for all of this venting for the boiler. That's going to come in and then go through the wall. It's going to be encased in a cabinet above the refrigerator is going in this area. And then when it gets into the utility room, it'll come along the ceiling and then vent down right above all these lines for the radiant floor heating. It's going to be the boiler mounted on the wall here. And then I had to do a vent hole through the wall up there, and all the vent has to go through. They go up over the stone, and it's cut through the wooden part, the upper part of the house. And this is the bathroom vent. And there's another vent I cut through there because the dryer is going to be in here, in the utility room. And then the last vent I'm cutting is up over where the stove is going to be. There's a hood that's going over the stove, and again there'll be a cabinet. It'll be mounted under a cabinet, and then the exhaust pipes will go up through and out through the wall. But cutting through, I'm using these hole. I've tried different hole cutters. It's a company called Spider, and they seem to work the best. Hole cutting can be dangerous sometimes. If it binds up on you in the middle of the cut, you can break your thumb or sprain it really bad. This is what I'm cutting through. There's the outside batten board section, and then this is the piece that I'm cutting through into the interior. But what I like about these Spider is you can just push the button and it releases the whole section with the wood, and it just falls out, and you squeeze the button and put it back in place. So it's a really good system, and they're heavy duty. And then the other thing, I'll come outside here. I'll just show where they're venting out here. Okay, what I'm cutting now is going to go up here in this area. And that's for the stove hood. And then this is the one for the boiler, which is it had to be a larger 5-inch hole. And the pipe itself is 4.5. It's a PVC pipe. But I had to make this little device here because I needed something that would, I can get this off, hold the pipe securely at the right 4.5 dimension. So I took this plug and then I drilled in the end of it and then cut the tin snips, folded everything back so it fits in the hole, and then the PVC pipe will come right through, and then everything will be sealed up around. And then the other vents over there, and this wire is coming out because there's going to be an outside light with an overhang little porch for this door entrance. And that's the dryer, and then the vent on the end is the bathroom vent. Then there's one other thing I've got to check or I want to show. This is the other thing I've been working on this summer. I think I filmed this earlier while I was still digging the hole, but it's straightening my apple tree project. And I finally got my truck back from repairs needed to be done. So I had to dig out around the root ball all with hand tools, garden tools, because I didn't want to damage any of the little roots. And then I strapped it to the truck and slowly pulled it upright. I'd get it braced and then backfilled, and hopefully it'll start growing straighter. And then my garden is growing amazingly well this year. And now it's time to go back to work. Hey, Jewel.